Welcome to another Tutorial Tuesday. I'm Kat, and today's episode is going to be about the 16 levels function on the MPC2000XL. But make sure you become part of the Gish crew and hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like, make sure you leave comments below in the box. Any questions you have, any videos you want to see in the future. So let's get started. You're a fan of jaw-dropping photography, eye-popping graphic art, or maybe you like beats that give you goosebumps. So if you're not familiar with your 16 levels button on your MPC, it's this button right here between the full level button and your record gain. It says 16 levels on the top of it, and it has a little button here that illuminates green whenever you activate it. But before you can use 16 levels, you gotta have a sample. So let's get a sample in here. So I got a sample in the MPC. If you want to learn how to get a sample in the MPC, reference my other video. I'll put the link like maybe right here, so you can click on that, go see how to get a sample into your MPC. But once you have the sample in your MPC, then you can use your 16 levels function. So let me show you that now. So once you hit the 16 levels button, you'll see your assigned 16 levels screen pop up. Where it says note, you find the sample you assigned to a pad. Mine is assigned to 35. And your first parameter is velocity. So what 16 levels does is it takes your sample and it assigns it to it assigns the sample to each of the 16 pads. And if your parameter is a velocity, each one of the pads will have a different velocity of the same sample. So when you press turn on and go to your sample pads, now you'll have this same sample with 16 different velocities. It starts from the highest velocity here and the lowest velocity here in the bottom left corner. So if you listen, you'll hear the velocity change.
And go.
So there's other parameters that you can change. If you slide over using your data wheel, you can go to note variation. So when note variation is selected, it allows you to change a type. In this case, you can change the tuning of the sample. And where it says original keypad, you can select which pad has the original tune or the original key of your sample. So say you want lower tuning, a lower tuning of your sample. Then you change the original keypad higher so that there's lower registers below. If you make your keypad lower, there'll be higher registers or higher notes or pitches of that sample up above. So if we keep our tuning original keypad at 4, that means 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 will all be a higher key of your sample. So we'll leave it at 4 and we'll do turn on so you can hear it. So if you come over to your pads, pad 4 is now the original tone of your sample. Pad 3, 2, and 1 will be lower tones. And pad 5 through 16 will be higher tones. One thing to note here is that as the tone of your sample changes, the speed of your sample also changes. So take that into account when you're tuning your samples. So there's 3 other types of note variations you can choose from. Aside from tuning, you can choose decay, which changes where the cutoff for the end of your sample is. Attack, which changes where the cutoff for the beginning of your sample is. And filter, which is a low pass filter that allows the lower frequencies of your sample to cut through. So I'll give you a demonstration of all of them here. For the first note variation decay, your original sample gets assigned to pad 16. So for the decay, like I said, it changes the cutoff for the end of your sample. So your original sample will sound like this, and as you go down, your sample will start to end shorter and shorter and shorter. So listen to how it sounds. So basically it trims off the end of your sample. The other type is your attack, which trims off the beginning of your sample. So if I turn on attack, your original sample will sound like this. I'm sorry, like this. It's assigned to pad 1. Then as you go up, it trims off more and more of the beginning of your sample. So you can almost barely hear it. Depending on where your sample is chopped and how much of the end of your sample, how loud it is at the end, you may be able to hear less and less of it. But you can definitely hear the change in your here and there. Well, you probably can't hear it at all. But anyway, the next type of note variation you can choose is a filter. So if you've never used a filter before, what a filter does is it filters out, or it takes away certain frequencies of the sound. So for instance, a low pass filter will allow lower frequencies to pass through. A high pass filter will allow higher frequencies to pass through. The MPC2000XL is only equipped with a low pass filter. So when you have your filter option on, it cuts off more and more high frequencies until you're just left with the lows. So your original sample is assigned to pad 16, and as you go down to pad 1, you'll hear the change. It kind of takes away the crispy highs of your sample. That's 16 levels. So it's levels to this. You know what I'm saying? Levels. 16 levels to be exact. But I appreciate you watching the video. It's been another episode of Tutorial Tuesdays brought to you by the AIM Society. Make sure you follow the AIM Society. Make sure you check out the other tutorial videos. Make sure you leave comments in the box below of any videos you want to see in the future, or any comments, any constructive criticism, anything. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and become part of the Gish crew. You know what I'm saying? Stay tuned with everything we got going on, and keep it humble and keep it hip hop.